Hello and welcome. You're with us here in business today. It is market closing, counting down to half an hour to close, and it really has been a day, hasn't it? We kicked off with that all-time high, the record high on the Nifty and the Nifty Bank. It was a spectacular start to the session, and however, now we've seen a bit of profit booking set in, not entirely unexpected. 26,190 is where we're trending at this point of time, just about flat on the index. We took a bit of a deeper nosedive, but we've actually ended now a little bit closer to flat levels, 26,191. Still counting down, half an hour to go. Let's see if we recover from those levels. Let me bring in Shail as well. Shail, in the morning we were talking about how, all the ingredients were in place, whether it be the trade deal, whether it be FI, buying, earnings, momentum, everything really seemed to be adding up. But markets couldn't sustain those high levels.
Abha, I don't think so. There is anything to be worried about. See, it's not as if that every day you will have a fresh record high. The markets don't work in that fashion. There are cycles within cycles and smaller intraday cycles within those larger periods of gain. So as long as we close above 26,215, that's a win. 26,300 did not happen because you had a very sharp rally yesterday of 300 points. Today's high was exactly 310, which should make a rally of 400 points within 2 sessions. That's not how markets work. A bit of money has to be given back to the bears so that they might be happy as well. So my understanding is that a close of about 26,215 should be above, and that's what works well.
I don't know what it is about, what you just said, Shail, but just as you were speaking, we hit 26,115. So I think it's just markets were listening to you. So we've hit those levels already. Let's see if we sustain it. Last 25 minutes to go. Yes. But I mean, I hear the conviction in sort of what you're saying, and you've been talking about it from this 26,215 level, and we're now at 26,222. So it's gaining. We might see some last hour action coming in here. We were also tracking the next high for the Nifty already. Let's run through that. 14 months to this high. Let's just reinstate that it's taken a long time for this one to come.
Abha, what has also happened is that on the weekly charts, as far as the Nifty is concerned, 29,000 has opened. Yes, I will repeat myself. 29,000 has also opened on the Nifty on the weekly charts, and if all goes well, this is something that you should see happening somewhere between late February and March at the earliest. So today's achievement will be if we close above 26,215, but mark my words, 29,000 has opened.
But let's actually bring in Sharmila Joshi. She's also joining us now. Sharmila, good to have you with us. It's been a while. Great to see you.
Yeah, hi. Nice to see you as well.
New high on the Nifty and the Nifty Bank, Sharmila. We've got a whole spate of brokerage upgrades, particularly global fund houses who are changing their views, citing 30,000 now. And as Shail just said, 29,000 also just opened on the Nifty. It seems to be looking good. What's your view?
Yes, I think a couple of things need to fall in place. One, we need to hear some resolve over this whole trade deal issue. I think that would definitely propel markets higher if you were to hear any sort of concrete announcement, because now the market has been signaling, a lot of people have been talking that we are very close to having a trade deal done and dusted with the US, but we are not really seeing it. That could be one good big trigger, and I think another big trigger could be if you were to see FIs return to like a sustained sort of buying, because they've been sellers. So maybe all these positive brokerage reports that you're talking of could mean that their sort of stance is changing and that they will now be net buyers, or rather their buying will be like more sustained over the next month or so.
Good to have you, Sharmila, after many months and quarters. We are back in touch. What a pleasure to host you. What is looking good in the large cap space at this point of time? We've had this rally which is defined by blue chips, something that you still feel has a lot of space left on the long side?
So, the funny thing about this market has been that while we are close to, not close to, we've made a new high on the Nifty. The fact remains that a lot of stocks are at prices lower than what they were the last time markets made a high. So it's been a strange market in that sense, and there are some big names which have not really sort of performed. I mean, good quality names. Like for instance, if you were to see a Trent is down, quite a lot from their highs, and this in spite of the fact that numbers have been decent, etc. So you'll find a lot of stocks like that where you could potentially see an upside. So a lot will depend on what market sort of identifies as a good theme to bet on going forward. One theme definitely market has identified is the banking space and the NBFC space, so that's definitely playing out. And I think to some extent you would see some catch up from IT as well, because IT has been in the doldrums for the past couple of years for various reasons. So if you were to see any sort of settling of nerves over there, the valuations definitely are at a place where you could see buying in a lot of names there. So so as I'm saying, I think it really just we need to wait and see which is the sort of sector that market decides that could be, which catches market fancy, so to speak.
So some of these trends, Sharmila, have been building, of course,
Right.
as you mentioned, banks, IT. Clearly, there is value to be found there. Maybe we can go deeper into the banks and financials in a moment. But which are the pockets that you're finding overvalued? We have seen a strong run-up, defense, metals, power, and energy, some of these key pockets where we're also seeing a massive structural shift. So there may not be a reason to move away from it right now. But where are you seeing perhaps the markets heating up for the moment?
So I think that's very difficult to say, because suppose I were to say defense is the sector that maybe, because, clearly over there as a case can be made out for the fact that while order books are good for a lot of companies, those are very long gestation orders, and for them to sort of trickle down and show in your bottom line takes a number of years, and market had sort of disregarded that, and a lot of the stocks had run up way ahead of their valuations. So even if you were to make a very strong case for that, I think, if you just hear, we are in such a volatile world. If you were to hear of some, some incident somewhere and things flaring up again, then, people are going to find comfort in buying defense stocks all over. You do know that defense spend is also going up. So, that could very well be the next big sort of sector going ahead. So it's a very difficult call to take. But yes, I broadly agree with you that perhaps if things were to stay as they are now, then that sector could be a little, it does look like there are pockets of overvaluation over there. So it all actually depends on what kind of focus, the markets take going ahead. Suppose you decide that AI is going to be your focus, then you'll find names even within the defense space which are sort of AI oriented, and start betting on those, or start picking up stocks in the IT space that are looking at AI. At the moment, we seem to think that AI is a bubble. So very honestly, we are out of that bubble because we haven't made any moves in AI. We are saying that AI is a bubble because of what is happening in the US, but we really haven't seen anything happen here. So that's what I'm saying. I think it just like a lot depends on what kind of mood market goes into the new year with. But which is why I'm sticking with the sort of names which are doing well and which definitely look like they're going to do well going ahead, given what RBI has done, the actions they have taken, what has happened domestically. So sticking with banking and financials and perhaps IT as a sort of a more export-oriented theme to play out.
Right, 3:10, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just try and give you a flavor of what's happening in the market as of now. What we see is a green tick on the Nifty. 26,150 is what the index really tested intraday, falling about 150 points from its all-time high hit early in the markets. When you look at the broader space, the advanced decline ratio is not exactly in good stead. 1280 stocks in the green, 1400 in the red. So bears in the broader market are sort of circling the bulls. You have profit booking in PSU banks. Small cap index is down. The auto space is in a bit of profit booking. Pharma is also down. What is holding the market up is the financial services space, the banking space, the IT space, and in terms of record highs, one needs to look at MCX. From the NBFC space, 4 companies representing record highs: Shriram Finance, Muthoot Finance, L&T Finance, and AB Capital. What interests you, Sharmila, in the financial space as far as NBFCs are concerned?
Well, a lot of the names that you mentioned, I think AB Capital has sort of done really well the last couple of years, and if numbers are anything to go by, the way they are meeting their targets, etc., that seems to be doing well. I think L&T Finance could be another stock. The Bajaj twins, of course, I think, within the larger cap space, those cannot be ignored. So I think a whole host of stocks, because, I think that what is happening is that a lot of bits and pieces are moving, and the sort of, for instance, the way precious metal prices have been, you can't even really say that like a Mannapuram or something won't do well going forward. Or for that matter, even some of the banks that have been doing well, some of the smaller banks. So I think there are a lot of moving bits over there, and the kind of numbers that we've seen from this space overall seem to suggest that they could be sort of seeing sort of a good next leg up in growth in the coming quarters.
We're seeing a lot of stocks close to their 52 highs too. We've got 197 recently showing consistent numbers. Same with the Nika, and we've been talking about how some of the new age companies have started to perform and show those numbers as well. A lot of heavy volumes in Eternal today, so that's one of the most active traded. Other stocks at a 52-week high. We've been talking a lot about Hero. We've been talking a lot about L&T. Let's bring up L&T again, because this is always a favorite in the pack. And Sharmila, you can't really go wrong with an L&T, and this one's now trending at its 52-week high. So what is the trajectory you're foreseeing for this counter, for the heavyweight in the when it comes to the infra space?
So, very honestly, for the longest time, my favorite stock has been Hero Motor. Though I like all the 3 two-wheeler companies, for the longest time I've said Hero Motors above all else, and I still stick with that. I think there is still value in Hero Motors even at this price. And I think the same goes for L&T, because, again, if you were to see the cycle that they are in, the kind of orders that they are getting, the kind of numbers that they've delivered, the way things are panning out for them, I definitely think that if you're a long-term investor, this is definitely a stock that you need to be invested in.
So Shell has Shell, I'm going to but in here, we've already talked about L&T. I think the other one's Bajaj Finance. Eicher Motors is Gaurang's favorite, so we'll leave that, right?
Yes.
What do I miss, Shell?
Abha, I would seriously look at the auto space now, because it's already 27th and we are heading into the weekend. First is when the full impact of the GST on monthly sales, the cut in GST on monthly sales will be visible. So very keen on Maruti in particular. In particular, Eicher Motors and Hero Motors from the two-wheeler side, and look at how Ashok Leyland has surged today. So in terms of how the attention of traders and long-term investors is concerned, auto will be a very good space to look at for the medium to short term, plus healthcare and pharma and tourism. These are spaces that look very good to me.
I mean, just look at Ashok Leyland, right? I mean, we don't see that every day on Ashok Leyland. It's usually the slower mover in the auto pack, and it's 8% on an Ashok Leyland is unheard of. There's the merger update, of course, perhaps driving the stock a little bit. That's the merger of Hinduja Leyland Finance. That's what they've been looking at into NDL Ventures, still to be approved by SEBI, as well as the stock exchanges, the NCLT and other authorities. That is the news, of course, that came out this morning. But 8% higher on an Ashok Leyland today on the back of this news. All right. The other one that was spiking earlier on, let's pull it up for you, was GMDC. Again, reform buzz. Remember the rare earth mineral policy that was declared yesterday by the cabinet. So today we did see a spike on GMDC, a very sharp one earlier in the day. Let's see where it's trending now. It's still up about a 5% or so. Shamla, let's get you in here as well. Metals, of course, across the board have been moving for various reasons, but GMDC in particular, of course, on the back of this new announcement, has spiraled upwards. Let's get your views in on the space in general.
Overall, I think that, when we were talking a little while earlier as to what could sort of take markets higher, I think the other theme could be this, because what we would now see perhaps in the run-up to the budget would be that new things would get announced, that, some new initiatives, new decisions that have been sort of in the pipeline. You could see, like we've already seen what this GST cut has done. Now we are hearing on rare earths. So, you could maybe see a slew of such measures which could sort of add further impetus to the market. And yes, I think definitely, given everything that is happening around the world, this move seems to be perhaps a little late in coming, but it has come. So we need to see the sort of finer ramifications of that. But definitely, I think it's a step in the right direction, given the fact that this is an area that we should be paying attention to, given that everything is required for electric vehicle batteries and so on and so forth. So yes, I think definitely GMDC. In any case, I think if you're a long-term investor, the stock has been a hold. But we should now wait and see how this sort of the full impact of this move, the policy, and then take a call.
317 Abha, the battle is at 26,215, as I have been repeating myself hoarse on the index. Banks sort of providing some kind of a support. The Bank Nifty 194 higher at 59,726, and metals doing pretty well. Strong space coming into GMDC. This is something that you've just discussed. And in terms of volume breakouts, what's really catching my interest is Saregama, 4.9% higher, 398. Tejas Networks, after many months, if not quarters, showing signs of life at 500 rupees, 3.84% higher. And who can stop Escorts? Tractor sales, keep an eye out on this one as well. 38 Escorts is at 3853, 4.5% higher. Abha, what are you watching?
We're back to auto shell, but can't blame you. Look at the kind of gains there, right? It's been quite a phenomenal day. Saregama, I'm just taking a look. It's been down 22% in the last year. So this time, however, it's up 3 sessions in a row. So clearly something moving here that's driving the counter. Volume's also steady. We'll keep an eye on it, see what's happening there. But that's the one that's active from the media pack. We're watching out for the Fed announcement as well, Sharmila, and central banks around the world seem to be towing the same line. The RBI clearly indicating that they're also sounding fairly dovish this time, and with inflation under control, we're probably going to see more cuts. Fed seems to be on track for the cut that was expected in December. In line with this, do you see further potential for the banking and financial space to see some traction in December?
Absolutely, because as you said that the way things have been, for instance, when markets corrected about a couple of weeks back, a lot of it had to do with this whole big move that is coming out of Japan, and how the ripple effects of that were felt across the world. So I think definitely, all the various banking heads, rather the Feds, the RBIs, those institutions are going to take note of what the possible impact will be, and prepare their whatever the economies which they are looking at to deal with that impact. And yes, I think internally also, the way things have been, both in US as well as India, they definitely seem to indicate that we will have a rate cut on hand. So that will definitely mean good things for the banking space. And so far, the private banking names have been, they've not really moved. hopefully this will sort of propel those names also to start moving higher, and we could see some movement there as well. Because a lot of what we have seen in the banking names has been sort of the smaller PSU banking names, because you're expecting some corporate action there as well. Some of it which is getting sort of you're hearing about, and which is getting spoken about, and some which market is sort of anticipating could happen, some mergers, some investments, etc. But I think there has to be more than that, because now we are getting a sense that the actual sort of numbers would also look better, and then maybe that could be the time when you could see some moves even from the private banks, which we haven't seen so far. So yes, I think going forward, that's as you said, like once you have the meetings out of the way, that's perhaps where focus could be.
And in fact, banking going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of the entire consumption boost as well. And we started with that, and that's continuing to be on top of Sharmila's list. Clearly value to be found there, both in the private names and the PSUs. But I want to pull up Saregama again, because the news there, Shail, is the companies really put out a whole commentary strategically in terms of what they're planning. It's part of the RP Sanjeev Goenka group, of course, and they're looking at more live entertainment. They're looking at kids programming. They're looking at a music festival aimed at Gen Z audiences, some stand-up comedy as well, an events arm with various artist-led shows for Gen Z, millennials, and interactive content for kids, an IP-driven business. And we've been hearing this in the media space with a lot of monetization clearly being around their own IPs. So talking about monetizing events digitally through IPs and widening its footprint in India and abroad. So clearly this commentary is what's driving the markets on this one, Shell.
Absolutely, Abha. And what is also driving the markets is MCX. Remember, we talked about silver in the morning. Lots of activity on that side as well. And MCX is where silver is traded. 10,469, a fresh record high in markets as far as MCX is concerned. And also giving it good company is from the banking space, Canara Bank, 152 rupees for you. Very, very strong moves coming into the last 2 or 3 minutes of trade. And I'm very happy to say that the Nifty is above 26,215. Let's see what the close is. I'm hoping that it will be above 26,215, Abha.
Okay. So, Sharmila, let's get your view on those levels. We're tracking, like I said, 30,000 now. And I know you said they must be right. But from a more near-term perspective, what is the kind of return ratio you're eyeing on the markets?
So again, I think a very difficult question to answer, because honestly, we haven't done much in these last.
Sharmila, today you're not answering any of my questions. Today you're. Come on, you got to give me a return.
So, as I said, if you were to see the US trade deal come through, because these are the things which are holding the market back, very honestly. Otherwise, we are ready to go, is what I'm saying. We are absolutely ready to go, and everything is in place. But it's just that, unfortunately, the sequence of things, the way they've been happening over this last month or so, I would say for the last month, we've been ready to sort of really move fast and way above the sort of the levels that we are at. But some or the other thing has been holding us back, and I'm just hoping that, fingers crossed, that some of this sort of falls into place over the next couple of weeks. And we have seen, typically that a lot of buying does happen before people break for, Christmas. So maybe the FIs could get active and take us higher. But then I think about, to my mind, about 26,700. 26,700 would be a good possibility by year end.
The closing minutes of trade, Abha. BDL is looking good for tomorrow. Strength here, 1507 on the counter, and it's up fairly substantially from its intraday low of 1487. This is something that we can look forward to as far as tomorrow is concerned. Ashok Leyland 162, fresh record high, and a very, very sharp move that is coming in. Let me just mark some other important moves that have come into the market. These are names that I'd rather not take on television, but a strong move coming into SMS Pharma. There is Muthoot Finance doing extremely well, and these are usual suspects that we've been discussed ever since morning. What are you watching, Abha?
I'm just wondering, where should one take chips off the table? Sharmila, some of these stocks have had such a good run up, and like you said, we've talked about where perhaps the value is to be found, but where should one perhaps to take some money off the table? Where do we see profit booking?
I don't really think that there is anything at a level which you should be looking to sell, because even if there is, if it is looking expensive to you, it is for a reason, because the market is liking some underlying theme or story in that. And for instance, if you were to take a stock like Asian Paints, which has been which was at one time you gave premium valuations to, and then because of this whole competition within the paint industry, we didn't see good numbers, and now you're hearing very good commentary. In a bad season, they've given excellent margins. So I think if market were to see, really reevaluate it and give it those premium valuations, then there is significant upside from this level. Once again, we're talking of this whole theme of autos. A lot of names are looking quite fairly valued there. But the fact that now this GST boost, what it will do, we've already seen some of it in the festival season, and as you all were discussing a little while earlier, next week we will hear numbers for the next month. And then if you are talking of autos, you should be talking of auto ancillaries as well, which has been a neglected space. So what I'm trying to say is there are many neglected spaces in this market. We are just going by a number. But if you were to actually do the drill down and see where stocks are and what prices are, there is, I think, enough room in a lot of stocks to move up significantly from current levels. And I think it is just a sort of a question of where, what is like the flavor, that market, what is the flavor that market decides that it likes. So it's just going to be that. I'm very honestly not of the opinion that you should be selling anything. I mean, nothing to my mind is really looking overvalued unless it's overvalued for a very good reason.
$327, and we are now just 3 minutes away from the close for the market today. Remember, it's Thursday, so it was also ahead of the weekend. One has to be very clear on that as well, and also the weekly expiry of the Sensex. That's why you had a profit booking and sideways move on the Nifty, but strength on its close, 26,230, 26,231 is what we are looking at. In terms of pullers and draggers, well, nothing much because the index itself is flat. In terms of top gainers, let's look at some other stocks. From the cement space, you have Nuvoco. This is something we discussed yesterday also, 4.5% higher. M&M Finance is doing pretty well, 3.7% higher. And of course, no stopping Bajaj Finance and Cholamandalam Finance. This is what I'm watching, Abha, in the dying minutes of trade.
Okay, well, it's been quite a roller coaster of a session, kicking off with those new highs in the first 15 minutes of trade, and then seeing some massive correction before coming back again to some fairly steady levels and in the green on the Nifty. So Nifty and Nifty Bank both hitting those new highs. Lots of stocks extremely active today. Ashok Leyland, we've been talking about that. GMDC, so Ashok is going to close about 7 to 8% higher. GMDC about 5 to 6% higher today. We've just got about a minute or so left to go. Samvardhan Motherson Sumi is a good spot. Sharmila was talking about it. So entire auto ancillary pack, we're seeing, of course, a lot of those stocks trending at new highs. Auto ancillaries also now starting to catch up. On the downside, of course, there was Whirlpool for, of course, news-based reasons. That was down about 11%. Then we had financials in play, IDFC First Bank, HDFC Bank. A lot of activity in 197, for instance, in a Nika, close to 52-week highs there. Metals today, continuing to see traction, of course, across the board. A lot of volume action as well, but financials stole the limelight clearly. Axis has been trending, of course, at those new high levels. We've seen a spate of financials, PSU banks on the back of all the reform buzz around them. So banks, NBFCs continuing to see momentum in today's trade as well. No major downside at the moment over there. The heavyweights as well, RIL steady. Not a major contributor today, but steady. We saw Hero continuing to contribute to the gains as well. Asian Paints, as Sharmila pointed out, Titan still close to those 52-week high levels. So a lot of action coming in when it comes to these steady names on the index. When it comes to broader markets, let's also take a look at some of the other, price active names as well. Selective pharma names that were moving. We saw NS Kubota, we were talking about, Tata Tele, Sun TV was up 3.5%, Saregama was up about 5%, Imami from the consumer durable space up about 2.5% there. Some of the other consumer related counters were also moving higher, again just on the larger consumption buzz, so continuing to see traction on that front. A few other names in the broader markets, I think Shell had also pointed out, we were seeing some hospitality names that were also seeing some amount of traction coming in today. And from the larger market share, let me toss to you what else is popping up on your screen.
That was for me.
Yes.
Abha, I'm just rejoicing the all-time closing high, 26,215. That is something to be looked forward to. And tomorrow will also be not only the close for November, but it will also be a close for the week itself. And that itself is a lot of positivity. Let's hope we get past 26,300 for tomorrow, and all sorts of stocks start firing. Like I've said, metals, in particular financial services, in particular PSU banks and private sector banks, the old ones, Karnataka Bank, Karur Vyasa, should start firing. So tomorrow, let's see mids and smalls participate. But for now, it's party time.
It is party time. It's a good note to leave it on. Sharmila, closing comment from you. I know it's looking good right now, but assuming all stays on track, just to recap really your sense of the market right now.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we are just getting started, very honestly, because we haven't really done much in the last couple of years, and global markets have sort of done much better than Indian markets have, and which is, given the fact that everything, like now the numbers are also beginning to fall into place, so we shouldn't now be missing out on any rally, is my feeling. And as I said, I'm just waiting for a couple of things to fall into place, and hopefully things will start looking much better going forward there.
Thank you, Sharmila. And as Sharmila said, we've got a lot of value to be found when it comes to mentioned IT, she mentioned banking and financials. So a lot of spaces where we might start to see now some pickup and recovery buying at lower levels in line with the overall sentiment of the market. And we're seeing new themes every day. One day we've got we've got some of those media counters buzzing. One day we've got some of the travel and tourism counters buzzing. So clearly there's a lot to choose from. We'll leave it there on that positive note. And I know, Shell, that you'll be rooting for a new high tomorrow morning as well. And let's hope we end the month on a good note. Thank you both so much for joining us.
After months of silence, the Congress High Command seems to have finally woken up